Hello, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Emma and thank you so much for clicking on the video. Let's get right into it. My most recent video is me picking out my December TBR and I picked 6 books for that video. Trying to get through 6 books in a month is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. I think I've done it before, but I don't do it consistently. So this video is hopefully going to help me make some progress on my TBR and hopefully finish it by December 31st. You can watch that video down in my description, or if you just want to see the list, I have my TBR list right here. I have a lot of really good books lined up for this and I really want to get to them, so I really have to prioritize just sitting down and actually reading these books. And I'm going to do that with this video's challenge, which is reading 200 pages per day for a full week. I'm a pretty quick reader, so I really don't anticipate this being too hard of a challenge. I usually average like 100 pages a day if I'm really not trying. So if I really just put the time aside. I recently deleted TikTok off my phone, so I think that's really gonna help with this, getting some more time back in my day instead of just scrolling on TikTok. So let me show you the first books I have for this. Usually I try not to read 2 books at the same time, but sometimes I'm guilty of just being too excited for certain books, so I try to tandem read them. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's the best way. I think it's better to just fully immerse yourself in one book at a time. So I really need to finish up the 2 books that I'm reading right now. First is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This is a dark academia magical realism book. It's very interesting so far. I love the lyrical writing and the atmosphere of this book so far. I'm at page 123 and there's about 320 pages, so I have about 200 pages left of this. And then I'm also reading Heartless by Elsie Silver, which is actually on my December TBR. That one's not on my December TBR. I'm gonna try to stick to the books that are actually on my December TBR. I might stray away for a book or 2, but we'll just see. And then this one I'm pretty far into. I think I only have 100 pages left of this. So today is Monday. This is day 1 of the challenge. My plan is I'm going to read 100 pages of this, finish it up, and then I'm gonna do my next 100 pages from this book. Okay, these are our books chosen for day 1, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Bad traffic ain't a waste of time. When you were there to hold my hand, but I've had it with the 405 since you said I'd missed my last chance. But I know that you've been asking about me. If I tried though to get you back, would you let me? It might take some time to change your mind. Maybe everything we could.
Hello, welcome to day 2 of the challenge. Today is Tuesday. So update time, last clip was me reacting to Heartless by Elsie Silver, and last night I was able to finish it and I was able to read about 100 more pages of my other book, which I'll get into in a second, but this one first because I finished it up last night. The last clip that you just saw was me reacting to, I guess I would say a plot twist, yeah. Absolutely insane. I did not see that coming, but looking back, the fact that this follows Willa Grant, who is the nanny of Luke, who is the son of Cade. Did I explain that right? It's a romance between the female character named Willa and the male character named Cade. Cade is a 38-year-old rancher. He has a little boy named Luke. He's 6 years old. While Cade is working on the ranch, he needs a nanny to look after his son during the summer, and Willa decides to take him up on that offer. She's supposed to only be the nanny for 3 months of summer, and so then whenever they realize that they're attracted to each other, that's the main reason why they kind of refuse to get together, because 1, she's his employee, and 2, she's only on contract for a couple more months. She would have to move back to the city. It would be a whole mess. They were trying to prioritize Luke, so all of that made sense. And then I can't give away what happened in the plot, but I do know that it's a very divisive plot point. This is something that can absolutely ruin books for some people. Some people absolutely cannot read about this, and I understand. In my head, the plot point makes perfect sense whenever you think about the little found family that was built between Cade and Luke and Willa. I loved their dynamic. I loved the 3 of them together and the little found family that they had. Then because it is a romance book, there always has to be that 3rd act breakup, so there was a 3rd act conflict. They took time away from each other, but it made a lot more sense because of what she did in this book. Relationship was kind of rushed. It wasn't rushed in the writing, but it was rushed in the milestones that they were hitting in their relationship. I just liked Flawless a little bit better, but I still have 3 more books in the Chestnut Spring series to read, and I'm very excited. I really like Elsie Silver's writing style, and I really like her character dynamics. Like, her characters feel so real, and her books are just so funny and so entertaining. So this is 4.25. The first book of the video is done. After that, I was able to go into Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This book, crazy change up from this, because this is very like lyrical writing, dark atmosphere, very poetic, very much like Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. Currently on page, I am almost to page 200, so I have 150 pages left of this book, and whenever I am done with this book, I'll have 50 pages left over that I still need to hit 200 pages each day. So after I finish up this, my plan is to pick up An Education in Malice. This is written by S.T. Gibbons. This is again a dark academia. It's a retelling of a classic story. I'm only gonna get 50 pages into this today, and then I'll continue it on Wednesday. Okay, but back to this. I really love the lyrical writing, and it's so poetic, and the way that she chooses to communicate even the most simplest scenes is so beautiful and so creative that I really want to take my time, and I'm reading it very slow. The plot and pacing is really good. It just picked up. There was a huge incident that just happened at the school with Thomas and Andrew's monsters coming to life. 2 things that are annoying me. Love and Thomas's fight, we still don't know what happened, and I feel like we're not going to find out what happened until like the last 20 pages, because I really think the author is just going to hold on to that. Secondly, it's so irritating that it's so clear that Andrew and Thomas reciprocate feelings for each other, but Andrew is in this like constant state of denial of saying, no, Thomas only likes girls and there's no way that he could have romantic feelings for me, when it's so obvious from everything that Thomas does. Hopefully these 2 characters start communicating better, and hopefully we finally figure out what conflict happened between Thomas and Dove, because I'm so eager to find out what that is, and I'm just tired of like them hinting at it and then dropping it and like moving on. I'm like, no, just tell me what it is. So we are going to read 150 pages of this, 50 pages of An Education in Malice, and that is going to be our 200 pages for Tuesday. Okay, I've made it to page 234, so I have less than 100 pages left of this book. We just had a huge like confrontation between Andrew and Thomas, where Thomas kind of forces Andrew to like out his feelings towards Thomas in like a very icky kind of way, very aggressive. So at the same time that I'm kind of falling out of love with Thomas, I'm more so appreciating Andrew as our protagonist and main character. He is a very interesting main character, and I think that he is a very interesting character to be in the perspective of. Through the course of this, he makes friends with a girl who goes to school with him named Lana, but it's like he wasn't like we're gonna be friends now. It was very much Dove told Lana, look out for my twin brother, and Lana was like, okay. And she's like this really mean girl, but she is very kind and very loyal and protective to certain people. And as the story progresses, I really love Lana as a side character. I think she is so funny and she's so fascinating, because she is very much a mean person, but she's mean to people who deserve it, and she's very kind to people who deserve it. She's like very Black Cat energy. She's very interesting. Thomas is getting on my nerves. I'm starting to like Lana. Found the perfect line to describe like Lana as a character. Someone's describing her and she says she has resting murder face, but she's aggressively friendly. That's like the perfect summary of how Lana is. It's so funny because she's so aggressive and so mean, but she's also a really good person. She's fascinating. Hello, today is Wednesday, so day 3. Last night I finished up Don't Let the Forest In. Oh my gosh. The ending of this book surprised me so much because it changed how I thought about the book. Halfway, like 200-ish pages in, I was like, okay, this is like a pretty good book, but it's not like mind-blowing. It was on track to be like 3.5, 4 stars. I finished it up, absolutely 5 stars. The twist that this took was so ingenious. Foreshadowing, plot twist. Like, I have never read a book similar to this book before. I could like go on such a rant about this book. It started doing that twist that's like that one Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Shutter Island. This book went Shutter Island on me. It also started doing that like Sixth Sense thing where it's like certain characters that like everyone's been interacting with, all of a sudden they'll be having a conversation. They'll be like, oh, so-and-so has been dead the whole time, which is like crazy enough. But then like the next thing is like, oh no, that person that you just talked to, they're actually dead and I'm alive, even though you just said that, you know, I'm dead, but I'm not dead. It was insane. It got to the point where I was like staring at the wall trying to process. And I will say, this book, its ending is open-ended and does not tie up every single bow nice and neatly, and the ending is open for interpretation. So the ending can kind of mean whatever you want it to mean, and it's supposed to be like that. Like, the author's note said something like, "Dear reader, like, I know that right now you're frustrated and staring at the wall," which is exactly what I was doing. Immediately re-downloaded TikTok just so I could find a review of this book and see what other people thought the ending was. And then I saw a few comments from the author herself, and she was clearing up a few things, which made a lot more sense. She is so genius the way that she executed this. This was so smart. This was so original. I've never seen a story executed in this way. The ending made the whole book so much better. Even little things that I didn't even think about. There's like a scene, Andrew's trying to find Dove. He sees her in the assembly and then he just makes like a small comment describing what she's wearing. And we know that it's set in October. It's the month of October at this time, but she's not wearing a sweater, which is the school uniform. She's wearing the summer uniform, and she's supposed to be wearing like the fall semester uniform. That, like, I didn't think twice about it. I was like, okay, like whatever, maybe she just like doesn't like sweaters, or maybe she runs hot. Like, I don't know, that doesn't really matter. It mattered. And then I just sat there thinking back about all the sentences that I read that I was like, okay, that's a weird detail to throw in there, but it makes so much sense. The foreshadowing in this was ingenious. 5 stars. I highly, highly recommend that you pick this up. This is the best book I've read in this video so far. And then to finish out the 200 pages for yesterday, I had to pick up 50 pages of An Education in Malice. This book is written by S.T. Gibson. Okay, so like I said, this book is based off of and inspired by a classic named Carmilla. Yeah, so it is a literary classic. Carmilla is a classic vampire novella by Joseph Sheridan. Oh, that's smart because of this character. I'll explain in a second. Sheridan Le Fanu. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. That was first published in 1879. So Carmilla it's a classic. It has to do with vampires. I read like a brief synopsis of it just so I could understand the important points of this story that are specifically referencing Carmilla. What you need to know about the classic novel: it's a young girl named Laura, and Laura is the protagonist in this book too. So the author took the name of the protagonist in the classic and put it as her protagonist as well, which I think is really smart. Also, why I said Sheridan, that's the protagonist's last name, Sheridan. So she took Sheridan from the author, which I thought was really cool. So it's a young girl named Laura. She lives with her rich and very loving father. Her mother has already passed away. And then one day, this like older woman with a child Laura's age stops by, says that she's on this like journey. She can't stop for long, but she can't take care of her daughter. She's like, I need to leave my daughter with your daughter. They're both the same age, so they're gonna get along. And for some reason, the father's like, yeah, sure, we'll definitely take in this like strange girl for the next 3 months and then like come back and pick her up. The daughter's name is Carmilla. Carmilla, I believe, is the vampire in that classic. I didn't read a ton into the classic, but I just wanted to read enough so I could understand the like callback. So of course, to have a character named Carmilla that is modeled after Carmilla from the classic, again to have Laura and then have the last name of the author of the classic, I think is so smart. She makes a few friends, but off the bat, after her very first class, she's invited to this like prestigious senior seminar with Professor, it's like a weird name, De La Fontaine. So there's this poetry professor, De La Fontaine. She is supposed to be like this very elite, very like difficult course that are only reserved for a senior seminar. However, Laura the freshman gets invited into it because she's so good at poetry. Carmilla is the star pupil of this professor, so whenever a freshman, Laura, gets invited into the seminar and then the professor starts giving attention and compliments to Laura, Carmilla can't stand it. So that immediately starts this academic rivalry between them. So I am at page 99. I have to read up to page 250 to complete 200 pages for today. But I really like how it's going so far. I like the pacing. I think it's very interesting. So now I'm going to read An Education in Malice.
I wrote a message in my notes that I'm never gonna send to you, saying I'm sorry. I guess you never really know what somebody's gonna do when they get lonely. If found somebody better than me to take care of your insecurities. You did it all while leaving me in the dark. I try so hard to be what you need. If you wait till the finer things, well, maybe we should let this fall apart. 'Cause I feel so stupid for falling for you. I should've listened to my friends when they told me not to. They said you're nothing but a woman.
Hello, welcome to day 4. So as you can see in the last clip, I made it to page 250 in An Education in Malice. So there's 342 pages in this, so I have 92 pages left to read. So that means 92 out of the 200 for the day is going to come from here, and then the rest is going to come from my next book. So I'm going to finish this up today, and then I'm going to read 198 pages of The Traitor's Ruin. Should get me to be about here, and then I'll probably finish it on day 5, the final day. So let's get to reading. Hi, hello, welcome to Friday. So in the last clip, I was talking about how I was thinking about doing The Traitor's Ruin for my next book, which is going to be the book that finishes up this video. And then I didn't pick up the camera whenever I made this decision, but I made the decision that I was reading it and I just really wasn't getting into it, and I wasn't gonna force myself to read it because I really do think that this is going to be a great trilogy because I loved the first one so much. So I wanted to give that a fair shot. I just wasn't in the mood for that kind of writing and that kind of world. So instead I picked up Defy the Night. This is exactly what I was looking for. A little over 400 pages. So I did the 198 for Thursday, and then this is now the end of Friday. So I read the 198, which was left over from Thursday, and so I'm 198 pages into this book. And then by the time I read the 200 for today, I will be done. So I need to start reading, and then I'll give you my wrap up and final thoughts of this one, and then we'll end the video.
Cool. Yeah, some of those will be nice. Yeah.
Okay, it's a lot later now. I just finished up my 200 pages for today for day 5, Friday, the final day of this challenge, and I finished up Defy the Night. So I don't think I gave you a proper intro to this book. This is a YA fantasy book, and it is heavily inspired by the Robin Hood story of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. We follow this rebel named Tessa. She is the daughter of an alchemist, and she and her partner Wes, they steal these flower petals from the royals, from like the royal sector, and then they distill it into medicine, and then they distribute it to the poor people around the kingdom. The problem with this kingdom specifically is the fact that there is this sickness going around. No one knows what causes it. No one knows the mortality rate. No one knows basically how to cure it. All they've really gotten is that if you distill these moonflowers into a liquid substance and you consume it, that is the only way to fight off what they refer to as the fever. It's not like passed from person to person, so a healthy person could be around someone who's sick and not catch it. We have no idea of what actually causes it, and that is what the kingdom is struggling with so much because it has a very, very high death toll. And that is what Tessa and Wes are trying to prevent, because in the system, all the moonflower and basically all the medicine is just reserved for the people in the royal sector, the rich, the top 1%. So what they try to do is they steal from the rich and the 1%, and they give this medicine to people in the lower sectors so that they have a fighting chance of not dying from this plague that is sweeping through the kingdom. On the flip side, there is Prince Korik. He is the younger brother of the king. He is also the king's justice. So he is the one who is in charge of kidnapping smugglers and Robin Hood types, basically Tessa, and persecuting them and arresting them and having these very public executions. Not a good guy. He is doing that because in his heart he believes that he's doing the right thing by enforcing his brother's law, and it explains better if you actually like go into his POV. There's a huge plot twist at only like 120 pages. It is the best plot twist I've ever heard of. I did not think that that was possible to pull off. It was so good though. So I can't give away too much because the plot twist happens so early on. Obviously Tessa and Korik meet because she is the smuggler. She is the one who is stealing from the royal sector and giving out the medicine, and he is the one who's obviously in charge of hunting her down and possibly executing her. So their story was really good. It was less action happened than I thought would, given how thick the book is. I thought there would be a lot of action, but actually it really only happens over like the course of a week, I want to say. No, but very good. Definitely what I was in the mood for, so I gave this book 4 stars. So that is the last book of the challenge. That is the last day of the challenge, so now it is time to end this video. I had a lot of fun. This was pretty difficult. This did consist of me staying up a little later than usual to get my 200 pages in every single day. All in all, I'm really glad that I did it. I got through some really good books. I had fun with this video. Let me know if you liked it. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time that I post.
I wrote a message